And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a small game called MafiaDollar. Now MafiaDollar has a theme that I like quite a bit, the theme of Mafia. It has some, on the art front, looks like this cool cartoony artwork. It comes with 173 cards in this small box, so that's pretty neat. Gangster time! Let's get to it. So this game is set around a big deck of cards, and everyone's going to get a handful of these cards. You're also, as these handful of cards, several of the cards are going to be loot cards, and you're going to place them on the table in different piles of loot. And so there will be different stacks of loot that will grow as the game progresses. Each player is also going to start with a random warehouse, and then the game begins. Now the first thing you'll do on your turn is you draw the top card in your hand. If it's loot, you simply add it to the loot pile and draw again until you get a non-loot card. You then can play one card or discard a card from your hand. Now what you're often going to want to do is you're going to want to play gangsters down in front of you. Now gangsters in this game have some abilities here. The die doesn't matter for the purposes of this gangster. The die will be used if you ever need to roll a die over the course of the game. You draw a card and that's a die you use. This gangster is immune to that type of anti-thing. Basically, he's immune to girlfriends. So I guess he's just not a nice guy. And so, but he also is 1 at burglary and 2 at attacking other gangsters. And you can see that they have different stats on the bottom. So you'll be able to place these gangsters in front of you in different groups and be able to use these gangsters. Now, I'll come back to some other cards you can play on your turn, but one of the actions you can do on your turn is you can move a gangster to the streets. The streets is an area that basically encompasses the area all around the loot. So you have on your turn, you draw one card, you play or discard a card, and then you take an action. So the action can be moving in streets. Another action you can take is if you're in the streets, you can take a loot card from the top pile. So I can take maybe this card here and put it in my warehouse that's worth $10,000, or this one that's worth $5,000. Or this one that's worth $50,000, which means if you took the 5, you feel kind of stupid. You can try to kill someone else's gangster in the street. To do that, you need to get an 8 on the die. So you draw the top card from the deck. Here it's a 3. Add your bullets to it, which is none, so that's a failure. If maybe this guy's out now and I try to kill, I'm going to get +2 here, so I draw another card. Hooray, that's an 8 + 2, 10, so I've killed that gangster. Now, you can also try to steal from someone else's warehouse. To do so, you also need an 8. You'll draw a card, and you'll take this and add the number of locks on your gangster who's trying to burglarize. Now you can try to stop other people, their gangsters, so you can put cards on them that will delay them. Like for example, I can put this card on this person and they're hurt. And until they discard a card from their hand that has this little medical kit on it, that card is going to stay there. And there's no limit to the card, so I can put you in jail also. This guy's, actually no, I can't put this guy in jail because he's immune to being in jail. But I can give him a girlfriend, I can make him stay at home, I can make him stay at home again, and you can add as many cards, and each card has to be taken off. Unless, of course, you draw the Don, in which case all your cards come off for free because you were very lucky. You can give your people equipment cards. So if you draw an equipment card, you can put it on her. So now she has 3 locks and 3 bullets. Yay for you in drawing that. And you can have 1 weapon. You can also have 1 locksmith kit. So I can draw that. Now she is 6 locks and 3 bullets. And you can draw a car or vehicle also that you can add. This means when she takes cards from the middle, she gets to draw 2 more, not just 1. And so there's different types of weapons and things that you can put on your gangsters. You can also play more warehouses, and you can put dogs on your warehouses, which subtract from the locks of people who are taking those away. Then there are the police cards. When you draw a police card, it's horrible. Because at the end of the game, if it's in your hand, you're going to lose the money on the card. This one's worth -25,000. These guys are worth -50,000. And this crew here is worth -100,000. So you don't want them in your hand. But what can you do? Well, you can discard one on your turn, but then you don't get to take any actions, and there's a negative penalty. They will either take away one of the cards in your warehouse, or multiple, or all of them. Some negative thing will happen to you when you discard one of these police cards, and you will end up hating those police cards. So you will continue doing this back and forth as people play cards and play other cards to get cards off their gangsters, etc., until eventually you draw this card, in which case everybody gives a whopping cheer because the game is finally over at that point, and whoever has the most money wins, except wait, you got to subtract money for each gangster you have, you got to subtract money for each of these you have, and of course if you're stuck with the police cards, you will do a lot of yelling and screaming and lose a lot of money. Most money is the winner of the game, although I would argue that no one has won. Ladies and gentlemen, this is horrifyingly bad. This is the worst game I played in probably 6 months. It is just downright dreadful, awful. I hate everything about it, except the theme. I think the theme is great. Although, as an aside, I thought the cards were a little too risque. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't play this with kids, that's for sure. Although, I like the style of the art, but whatever. But the game is just so riddled with problems. First of all, you're going for loot. Hey, I got 5,000 card. You got a 50,000 card. What in the world? That's not even comparable. That's like saying, you get 1 point, you get 20. Woo! I mean, and then the game took one of the mechanisms from Meal Born that I hate. That, oh, you have a flat tire in your van, so here, your gangster can't do this. Okay, well, I'll play another gangster. Oh, I don't have any. Oh, you put more stuff on my gangster that I can't deal with. Oh, I can't do anything about that. And the police cards. That is the worst idea in a game. What in the world? Oh, I drew a card. This card means I'm going to lose tons of money. There's nothing I can do about it because I drew the card. I didn't do... Ugh. This person who designed this game hates gamers. I mean, you are at the mercy of the game. You are shooting people and you're turning cards over and it's totally random. You mean you have lots of bolts and still draw a 1. And even if you do shoot your gangster, big deal, they just put a whole bunch of stuff in your gangster, you can't do anything. This game is won by the person who draws the best cards. Period. There is nothing you do that makes any difference or iota in this game. It's ridiculous. I hate this game with a passion. If I was allowed out in the roof of my house, and now that I live in a gated community, they're not, they would frown highly on that. But I would throw this off the roof. That's how annoyed I am. I mean, what am I supposed to do with this game? But
here, what about this?
Good idea. Don't buy it. It's awful. With a capital horrible.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.